So welcome everyone. So in today's, just let me rewind what you have studied in the previous class. In previous class, you have studied about the non-cooperation movement and how Indian National Congress took up certain programs to make this event more successful. So in that part of program, there are many activities planned by Indian National Congress, and in that plan, especially if you take in the previous class, we finished that in the Wales. Okay, when the Wales prince came to visit Mumbai, people have demonstrated against his visit, and it was like a setback to Britishers. So that, I mean, in such a way, they were protesting against Britishers. So later, what were the Britishers doing with the movement? That is the later part of the lesson. So did the British took it very seriously, or did they take it light? That we will see. So the repression by government. So how the British government has taken its stand against the movement. So the government took severe measures to suppress the movement. So that means the British government has taken non-cooperation movement as a very serious issue. So they don't want any such serious movements from Indians. And under Gandhiji's inspiration, prison lost its terror and became a place of pilgrimage. So when many leaders were arrested against this, when leaders were leading the movement in various parts of the country, they were all arrested, right? So when they were arrested, the prison, which was earlier very terrific, that means if somebody is sent to prison and all, they used to feel it as a very, dreadful and very terrific. But now, under the inspiration of Gandhiji, many leaders know they got arrested very bravely. They went on roads and protested. Still, they got arrested and they turned jailing somebody as a very it's like a pilgrimage. It became very common for the leaders to go to jail. They're no longer worried, or they're no longer afraid of going to jail. So all important leaders except Gandhiji were arrested and sent to jail. So many leaders, they were arrested and they were sent to jail. And the processions and public meetings were banned. So what the British government has done, it has made a prohibition. That means one should not go for any kind of processions, means rallies, or you take public meetings. So people or anybody are not supposed to attend this public meetings and rallies. And the Khilafat and the Congress volunteer organization were declared illegal. So this is one of the major decision came from the British government. So they made the Khilafat organization, which merged with the Congress on Indian National Movement basis, and the Indian National Congress, both were declared as illegal by British government. Unfortunately, the whole government or the whole movement was abruptly, means suddenly, called off on February 12th, 1922 at Gandhiji's insistence. So such a terrific movement and such a very important movement, which was on its full scale implementation, was called off, abruptly called off. That means suddenly it was asked by Gandhiji to stop on February 12th, 1922. So following the news of Chauri Chaura incident, because of an incident called Chauri Chaura incident. So it's a place. So during in that place there was an incident that made Gandhiji to stop this movement very suddenly. So what is that Chauri Chaura incident and how it led to suspension of non-cooperation movement? So who suspended non-cooperation movement? It was Mahatma Gandhi. What was the major incident that was responsible? Chauri Chaura incident. So the tragedy at Chauri Chaura, a village in Gorakhpur district in Uttar Pradesh. So in Uttar Pradesh, there was a district by name Gorakhpur district, and in that district there is a village named Chauri Chaura. And the incident occurred in that Chauri Chaura village on February 5th, 1922, made Gandhiji to call off this movement. So a procession of about 3,000 peasants marched to police station to protest against the police officer who had beaten some volunteers picketing a liquor shop. That means in this village, 3,000 peasants they made a rally. So what for they made a rally to protest against a police officer. So as part of non-cooperation movement, when the volunteers of the village went and picketed a liquor shop. Okay, those days the liquor shops were also picketed because they were all run by the government, so foreign government. So people picketed means that means they have brought all the liquor and thrown it out, and they have. I mean, you can call it like they have destroyed the shop. So, and what the police officer did, he identified some of the people who did that liquor shop thing, and he has beaten them like anything very cruelly. He has beaten some volunteers very cruelly who has picketed that liquor shop. Now, against this police officer, 3,000 peasants, that means farmers of that particular village, they have marched to the police station against that police officer. So against that police officer, this this 3,000 farmers, they went on a rally, and the police fired at the peasants. So when they were doing a very peaceful rally, the police, unnecessarily they have fired at them. This infuriated the demonstrators, and they set the nearby police station on fire. When open fire on innocent farmers was opened up, immediately the other farmers got very angry. Infuriated means they got very much angry, and they set the nearby police station on fire. So they have burnt the station on the fire, killing 22 policemen who were inside the police station. So what the peasants did, have closed up the police station and set the police station on fire, and 22 policemen got killed in that Chauri Chora incident. And also throughout India, there were few violent incidents in other parts here and there. And Gandhiji, a believer in ahimsa, was greatly shocked at these incidents, and he withdrew the non-cooperation movement on February 12th. So when Gandhiji heard about this Chauri Chora incident, he was deeply saddened, and he was upset because his policy was not to make or involve people in any violence. He want always them to go for satyagraha, which means suffer personally for the cause of truth. So, but this is happening completely opposite here. With Chauri Chaura, Gandhiji thought the movement is slowly turning violent. So he called off the movement. He withdrew the movement on February 12th, 1922. So this action of Gandhiji came like a shock to all the congressmen, because such a movement which was going at its peak and at a very large scale, suddenly calling or suspending of this movement and this agitation was severely criticized by leaders like Motilal Nehru and Lala Lajpat Rai. So Motilal Nehru and Lala Lajpat Rai, they all criticized Gandhiji because just for some incidents, why Gandhiji has called upon such a big movement. And Subhash Chandra Bose, who was also part of Congress, he called it as a national calamity. Calling off this movement is a national calamity. That means the nation is in great danger because of suspending such a movement. So Gandhiji received criticism from throughout India, and Gandhiji assured Jawaharlal Nehru that if this thing had not been suspended, we would have been leading not a non-violent struggle. So, but Gandhiji said to Jawaharlal Nehru that what he has done is a very reasonable thing. If he has not suspended this movement, it would have been a complete non-violent struggle. So, which, if we start resorting to violence, and you can imagine how much violence the British can do. So, Gandhiji does not want this kind of unsuccessful, he doesn't want to proceed towards such a violent movement. And nevertheless, everybody respected his decision in view of the great personal influence of Gandhiji. So then, even though Gandhiji suspended the movement, and after he said that it would become completely a no, I mean, when he said that if he would have not suspended, definitely Congress would have led a violent struggle. It would have never been called a non-violent struggle. So, by this statement, everybody respected the decision of Gandhiji under this great personal influence. They understood that what Gandhiji said is true. So, that was the influence of Mahatma Gandhi in those days. So Gandhiji, he suspended the law-breaking part of the movement. He said to congressmen that wherever we are breaking law and resorting to violence, he is suspending only that part of the movement, not the entire movement. And he asked the congressmen to pay attention to the constructive programs. So he said, let's not worry about whatever has happened. I'm not suspending the movement. I'm only suspending the law-breaking part of the movement. That is, wherever we are resorting to violence, so this kind of violent movements, I'm stopping, not the other programs. So he said, let's proceed with the movement in a constructive programmed manner. So through other constructive programs we can continue, like untouchability, which was part of the objectives. Hindu Muslim unity was the objective, and the popularization of Swadeshi and Khadi Gandhi. So these all Khadi and Swadeshi, which were the concepts, which were constructive programs, was asked by Gandhiji to continue for the congressman. And Gandhiji was arrested for propagating sedition on March 10th, 1922. So this kind of statements given by Gandhiji made British to arrest him on March 10th, 1922 on the basis of sedition. That means going against the government, or you can call going against the governance of the country. So Gandhiji was sentenced to 6 years of imprisonment. How many years? Almost 6 years. He was, given punishment to be kept in jail. But Gandhiji was released after 2 years because of his ill health. So as Gandhiji fallen sick, and based on his popularity, British were forced to set him free within 2 years. And what was the impact of this non-cooperation movement? So let us see what is the impact, what it gained. So the movement failed to achieve any of its three main demands. So on one side of the coin, this movement has failed. On the other side of the coin, it has its own successful things. Let us see what is in which way it failed. The main demands of Indian National Congress along with Khilafat people were three demands. What is obtaining Swaraj, complete independence, obtaining an apology for Jallianwala Bagh massacre, and solving the Khilafat problem. So these three problems were not solved because of non-cooperation movement. They were not even addressed by British. And Gandhiji's promise to achieve Swaraj within 1 year of launching the movement was not fulfilled. So Gandhiji was even confident that within 1 year of launching of this non-cooperation movement, he promised to people that we would easily gain Swaraj or freedom. But it didn't came into reality. So, but its ultimate gain outweighed the immediate losses. But in another way, on the other side of the coin, it has drastically improved the national movement. So that means it has outweighed the losses. Even though it has caused certain failures, on the other hand, it has given a larger section of success in many other areas. It was a great step forward in the course of Indian national movement in the following ways. Non-cooperation movement was successful in this following manner. Let us see in what are those ways. It became a movement of masses, or the national movement of masses. So let us see how it made the majority section of Indians to become conscious of the nationalism and national movement. So, for the first time in the history, it acquired a real mass base with the participation of different section of Indian society. So, this was, you can call this as a successful part of the movement. That is, mass base for the movement has been established. Majority sections of Indians involved in the movement against British, like peasants, workers, students, teachers, and women. This, many sections of people they have involved in the movement and made this movement with a very strong foundation for the later part of national movement. However, the big industrialists, capitalists, and zamindars still remained hostile. So some people were still not joining the movement, like the big industrialists. I mean, those days whoever are getting benefits from British, and the capitalists who gain a lot of benefits from British through their industries and all, and zamindars. So these all people were still hostile. See, these zamindars may be why they remained against, because when other sections like peasants and workers involved, so zamindars thought, they can't join with these classes of people and work against British. So even though they don't like what their Britishers did, when zamindars used to feel that they are the very highermost people and how can they involve with the peasants and other workers, so they remained hostile. That means they were not in favor of the movement. And Jawaharlal Nehru described non-cooperation as a peaceful rebellion, most civilized form of warfare, yet dangerous to stability of British. So rightly saying, Jawaharlal Nehru said, even though this movement is very peaceful movement, it is very, very dangerous to stability of the state or the British rule. The way it has made masses to enter into movement, it would have definitely created a kind of fear in British. So, what is the other thing that is the positive side of this movement? It has given confidence, instilled confidence among the people. That means it has given a confidence for what? Desire for freedom, and also challenge the colonial rule. So it inspired people to desire for freedom. That means, yes, we need to have our own freedom, Swaraj. And also, it also made people to challenge the colonial rule for the very first time. And renowned historian Bipin Chandra says, out of the experience of this attempt to defy openly the foreign ruler and the government, a new sense of self-confidence and self-esteem was built. So Bipin Chandra, who was a renowned historian, he calls this non-cooperation movement as a movement that has given confidence to people, as well as a great kind of pride in participating for their country. And this is the first time the huge masses of the country went against the British rule. So, and also another positive side of the movement, Congress became a revolutionary movement. So the Indian National Congress, which was just a deliberative assembly. So earlier every year they used to keep a assembly, pass some resolutions, and they say that they are working on the issue. But now, for the very first time, make Congress turned into an organization of action. So, as I said earlier, when early nationalists were there, it was just conducting its meeting every year, passing resolutions, taking petitions, and it was never. I mean, the people never looked Congress Party as something which is in real action. But for the very first time, when non-cooperation movement was launched by Indian National Congress, the way it inspired people to come onto roads and the way it gave leadership and inspiration to people made people to think it as a party of action, but not just a party of an assembly or just votes or resolutions. And also Congress became the organizer and leader of the masses. So, for the very first time, Congress Party emerged as a leader party in India. So, and also it was the only party who can mobilize masses if anything is to be done. and in their national strength. So thus the Congress became a force to reckon with. So that means, so thus people in India believe, or the Congress turned out to become a force. That means it became a strength, and it has driven people through various calculations and all in the freedom struggle. So not just by just forming assembly, giving some speeches, but now Congress party has turned as a force with some calculations and other such things, so that it is calculatively making the movement progressive. So this kind of revolutionary change has seen in Indian National Congress Party, which was a positive sign, and it fostered Hindu-Muslim unity. So when Khilafat issue was taken up very seriously by Gandhiji, and he also allowed this movement to join with Indian National Congress, it fostered Hindu-Muslim unity. That means it encouraged. So which could be seen in the merger of the Khilafat issue with this movement. How we can say that Hindu Muslims have united and how this unity was strong, because when Khilafat issue got merged up with, and it also became a primary objective of Indian National Congress movement, then Hindus and Muslims also felt that yes, this movement or this party is for working for us, and it provided an opportunity to Congress to bring the urban Muslims into national movement by convincing them that nation was equally concerned with the problems affecting them. So, moreover, Gandhiji and other Congress leaders, they were successful in bringing urban Muslims, some kind you can call educated Muslims and all. So, based on Khilafat issue, these urban Muslims also have entered into Indian national movement, and Gandhiji also could convince these people that the nation, that means Indian National Congress, which was representing nation that time, it is equally concerned with the problems affecting them. So Congress party was successful in convincing Muslims that Congress party is also worried about the problems that Muslims are facing, especially the Khilafat issue. So it has equal importance. It's as a Khilafat as an objective was successfully portrayed, successfully presented to Muslims, and especially urban Muslims also, joined the movement. That is the success of Indian National Congress Party in uniting Hindus and Muslims. So this non-cooperation movement promoted social reforms also on the other hand. So on the consequence of non-cooperation movement, several steps were taken in the direction of prohibition and removal of untouchability. So what did they do to remove this prohibition? I mean, to remove this untouchability. So Congress party also worked on this. Like many national schools were started, colleges were set up in the country. So in the different parts of the country, national schools and colleges were set up so that all Indians can go and study here without any caste or other bias. And the boycott of foreign goods led to the promotion of Indian handicrafts and industries. So this is one kind of reform in society. The Indian handicrafts and industries were they got a boost because the boycott movement was very, very popular among Indians during this time. So, Indian handicrafts, that means handmade goods, and Indian industries got a new energy to function, and Khadi became the symbol of the national movement. So, what do you mean by Khadi? It is also called Khadar. Okay, generally it will be made up of cotton, but why you call khadi is because it is hand woven. Okay, so it's like a hand spun we can call. So it is hand woven. You can call it as katar. With cotton it can be made, and there is also khadi silk and khadi wool also there. But those days in India, the cotton khadi was more popular, and this became a symbol of national movement. So that is handmade goods were given more importance. That is Indian style of making goods. So this movement gave a lot of boost to even this khadi. and spread nationalism to every part of the country. It gave a new boost to nationalism in India, and in its annual session of Congress in Nagpur. So nationalism was, yes, definitely non-cooperation movement has given a different kind of nationalist and feeling to all people in India, almost all. And as usual in its annual session, so Congress party we said it will have every year a session, right? So as a part of its annual session, changes were made in the constitution of the Congress. That means in the way the Congress should function, there were some important changes brought in the Congress. So what were those changes? We will discuss. Provincial Congress committees were reorganized. So in each and every province, there were Congress committees set up which used to work for the central political party. So these Congress committees working at provincial level were reorganized. This was one of the biggest changes that Indian National Congress has done by taking decision in Nagpur session. As I said, the Congress has reorganized its committees. So these committees were provincial committees was reorganized on the basis of linguistic areas so that the committees would function more effectively. So people speaking that language, they have a particular committee representing that area, and they can easily mobilize people during any kind of movement. So linguistic areas committees was a major step taken by Congress, and Congress was now led to be by a working committee. So first change that it has brought was this provincial committees. Second change that Congress party brought was it has created a body called working committee. So at the central level for the Indian National Congress Party, there will be a working committee. And how many members will be there? In that committee, 15 members will be there. And that committee will have a president. The Congress president will act as a president of the committee, and it will have other secretaries in that working committee. So first change was provincial committees are divided based on language basis or linguistic areas. Second second change brought in Indian National Congress was a working committee was created, and this working committee was having 15 members and including the president of the Congress. So in this 15 members, there will be president of the Congress and remaining people are serving as secretaries. And why they have created this kind of working committee and all to function as a continuous political organization and provide it with the machinery for implementing resolutions. So this working committee, what it will do is it will continuously monitor the resolutions taken by Congress party, and it helps in implementing these resolutions. Earlier there was no such working committee, so don't know who is monitoring what Congress is doing. So such confusion was there earlier. But now working committee was set up with 15 members, and the president of the Congress is also there in it. So this committee, what it will do, it will continuously monitor how far they have successful or how far they have moved in the movement or in any resolution made by Congress, and accordingly they'll change and they'll implement the resolutions passed in their sessions. And Congress party with such things, it was able to reach down to villages. So now Congress party has gained its mass support even to village level. So and its membership fee was reduced to 4 annas. So to anybody who wants to join Indian National Congress, they have to pay 4 annas per year. Okay, so what is this anna? It was a currency operating in India between 1857 to 1947 kind of, I mean till 1947. So each anna is 1 by 16th of a rupee. In modern day 1 rupee coin we have, it is 1 by 16th part. Okay, that is each 1 by 16th part is called 1 anna. So to join, to have membership in Congress, every member has to pay a very nominal price of 4 annas per year. So that too for 1 year, not like regularly, I mean, not very less time period. For 1 year, they have to pay 4 annas. So this, especially these annas were made with copper and nickel, metals. It was an alloy of copper and nickel, and with that they used to make this coin, anna coin. So Congress party has reached to villages. Their membership fees was reduced, and also it could connect the rural and urban poor to become its members. So when this fees was reduced for membership in Congress, even the rural and urban areas, poor people also could join Indian National Congress, which was a major step. And it popularized the cult of Swaraj. So the goal of non-cooperation movement was to attain Swaraj within the British Empire. So the British Empire would be there. So when it is there, it has to attain Swaraj. So this was one of the primary goals. What do you mean by the cult of Swaraj? That means it was a devotion that they have fixed that we should attain Swaraj. The goal was very clear that to attain Swaraj within the British Empire and if possible and outside if necessary. So as this point we have discussed earlier also. If possible, we can without British Empire also we would like to have our own freedom and we would like to rule ourselves. But if possible, first let us have a Swaraj, a complete independent India which is just monitored by British Empire. So that was the primary goal initially, but even if it is without British Empire, the Congress party is okay with the Swaraj. Congress realized the nature and value of popular support. So what did the Congress party learn from this non-cooperation movement? It thought it has learned the value of the popular support. That means the support of the masses, common people is very important. This point was learned by Congress party. And though the movement failed immediately to attain Swaraj, it definitely came nearer to it. So Congress party felt that even though movement has failed suddenly because Gandhiji called off suddenly and due to violence activities and all, still Congress party felt that it went very close to Swaraj. So this was the kind of positive side of the non-cooperation movement. So next thing after this non-cooperation movement and its both positive and negative things we have learned, let us proceed to another movement led by Mahatma Gandhi called civil disobedience movement. Disobedience means not obeying to follow certain rules. Civil means the people of the country. So why people of the country have said no to follow certain rules and laws? So that we will see now. Mahatma Gandhi gave the call for a civil disobedience movement in 1930. So in which year civil disobedience movement was started? 1930. So this movement was different from the non-cooperation movement. So as I said, I mean like unlike non-cooperation movement, there is a slight difference between the civil disobedience and non-cooperation movement. What was the difference? Non-cooperation movement sought to bring the working of the government to a standstill. That means by not cooperating, by not making, using the goods, by not using foreign goods and all, they wanted to bring by leaving offices working and all. They wanted to make government to come standstill. That means not to function further. That was the primary, objective of non-cooperation movement was that was the method adopted. But so that is with the administration, they don't want to cooperate first of all, so that it will pass for a while. So the British administration would pass for a while because of non-cooperation. People were not cooperating. Whereas civil disobedience movement was an attempt at paralyzing the administration by breaking some specific rules and regulations. So whereas civil disobedience movement, it would it would not follow certain specific rules. Okay, not all the rules, but some specific rules framed by British government, and some specific regulations introduced by British government would not be followed by the civilians of India or the people of India. So here, not participating with the government functionary is non-cooperation movement, and by breaking also here by not obeying some laws and rules passed by British was referred as civil disobedience. That's the minor difference in both movements, and the circumstances that led to civil disobedience were the following. So why Gandhiji gave call for a civil disobedience movement, that we will see now. First reason was Simon Commission. Okay, so in November 1927, British government appointed Indian Statuary Commission. So Indian Statuary Commission was appointed by British government in 1927. What do you mean by Indian Statuary Commission? Statuary means some requirement. So based on the movements from non-cooperation and all, the British thought, yes, and the pressure from Congress, obviously, the British thought that maybe Indians were required some reforms. So to look at what they require exactly, so the British government has appointed a commission called Indian Statuary Commission, and this Statuary Commission was headed by a chairman by name Sir John Simon. So based on his name, this commission was popularly called Simon Commission. So because of the chairman who was heading this commission, his name was Simon. The commission was referred as Simon Commission. So this commission was asked to investigate the need for further constitutional reforms. So what constitutional changes that they can brought in Indian affairs, and all such things were asked to investigate by this commission. And the commission was composed of 7 British members of parliament. So if you look at this Simon Commission, everybody in this commission, there were they were member of parliament of British, and all of them were Britishers. You take the 7 members, including the chairman, it has completely British people. So it had no Indian member at all. Among the see, if the British really wanted to help Indians in they wanted to bring some kind of changes in Indian administration, they first want to give a chance to Indian to tell them what they require. In commission itself, there is no Indian member. How can the British know what the Indians require? So definitely this is a kind of insult. So Simon Commission has no Indian member. This was observed as a violation of principle of self-determination and deliberate insult to self-respect of Indians. So Indian National Congress considered this Simon Commission as a deliberate insult by Britishers. So by not keeping a Indian member in Simon Commission, and what did they want to give Indians? How can they know what the Indians require? So that itself shows that this commission is just a namesake commission, but it's not going to help Indians. So what people felt at Madras session in 1927 of Indian National Congress, which was presided over by Dr. Ansari, the National Congress decided to boycott the Simon Commission at every stage. So naturally, the Simon Commission would come, go to different areas, meet different leaders, and would try to find out what they require. But there is no Indian member in that. So how far this commission is going to help Indians is a big question mark. So Congress party said they are boycotting the commission, and at every stage of its movement, wherever the commission visits, everywhere there must be a boycott movement. So, so in every form, this Simon Commission was not helpful. So the Congress party decided to protest in whatever manner they can do. So what all possible, non-violent agitations they can make constructively, that they wanted to make, and they boycotted. The Muslim League and the Hindu Mahasabha decided to support the Congress decision. So you know that Muslim League party, how it formed in the previous chapter. So Muslim League party was a party which was formed to protect the interest of Muslims in India. And on the other hand, when British introduced this kind of communal electorates through Minto Morley reforms, certain Hindu groups in India found that they were afraid that definitely these British are going to harm the interest of Hindus. So a group of people formed another political party called Hindu Mahasabha to protect the interest of Hindus in India. So naturally, Muslim League and Hindu Mahasabha are the two communal parties. Of course, they were just formed to protect their own community's interests. They were not resorting to violence and all, but to protect their own community interest. They felt Congress is not sufficient. So Congress is a secular party. It wants everyone to come and work with it. But these people were they just want only their communal interest, their community interest. So, but when Simon Commission was boycotted by Indian National Congress, both these communal parties, Muslim League and Hindu Mahasabha, they decided to support the Congress decision. In fact, Simon Commission united at least temporarily different groups and parties in the country. So, in one way, Simon Commission has at least united this Muslim League and Hindu Mahasabha to temporarily at least they come into a common platform with Congress. They shared a common platform with Congress on the interest of the nation. So that was a kind of achievement we can call. On February 3rd, the day the commission reached Bombay, an all India hartal. That means throughout India, people closed their shops, shut down their business activities, and what they did, wherever the commission went for finding out what are the requirements of Indians, they were greeted with hartals. That means the shops and everything were closed, the roads looked empty, and people took black flags and they went on doing some demonstrations. So you can see here again a Simon Commission, how people were taking black flags and showing Simon go back. So these kind of slogans were made by people, and they showed black flags to Simon Commission. The members were going through different areas in India, and the famous slogan was Simon Go Back. So this gained very much popular in the civil disobedience movement. And so this became one of the reasons for Gandhiji to later on start civil disobedience movement. This is not part, but this became a major reason, Simon Commission. So the government used brutal suppression. So this is as usual. The British arrested people, attacked, and wherever these rallies are going on against the committee's way, they have arrested. They have done lathi charge and all. Lala Lajpat Rai was beaten up mercilessly at Lahore railway station while leading a demonstration. So again, a Simon Commission with Lala Lajpat Rai. He was leading a demonstration near Lahore railway station, and police beat him very mercilessly, badly, and with these injuries, he lost his life as a result of the lathi blows he received. So, irrespective of the age and other factors, the British police they have mercilessly beaten Indian Congress leaders when they made demonstrations against Simon Commission. So what did this Simon Commission recommended after its, whatever it has gone through India and met people and later it went, even though Congress didn't cooperate it, the Simon Commission by observing the things in India, it has given certain recommendations. So what are the recommendations of this Simon Commission? The important recommendation was diarchy should be abolished. So what is diarchy? It was where this diarchy was operational. It was operating in provinces. So diarchy which was operated in provinces should be abolished. So this was the first recommendation of Simon Commission. What is diarchy? Diarchy in simple terms you can call as dual government. So in those days, due to Chelmsford reforms, dual government was introduced in provinces. For example, you take Bengal. So, where what they introduced was dual government. So, what does this dual government mean? So, in this dual government, so it means that there are some subjects called transferred subjects. There are some subjects called reserved subjects. So, this transferred subject will be looked after by Indians, Reserved subjects would be looked after by Britishers. So under reserved subjects, land revenue, police, all such important portfolios or all such important departments were kept under the control of British, and like forest and education, welfare, and all such unimportant, even though they are important, they have no complete executive authority in that. Without revenue and this internal security, what else they can do? So the British Indians were given certain kind of Indians were given transfer subjects like welfare of the people, education of the people. Such departments were kept under Indians. So, and this was called diarchy. So with Montague-Chelmsford reforms, this diarchy was introduced in India. But Simon Commission has now recommended to abolish this diarchy because Indians felt no use of this reform. It was all in important areas like land revenue. See, revenue was completely kept under their control. So this kind of thing was not accepted by Indians. So Simon Commission said these provinces should be given complete autonomy and this kind of dual government should be abolished. But even though by saying that autonomy should be given, again, the governor of that province, who is a Britisher again, must be given overriding powers in matters like internal security. So again, they kept a condition here. See, so on one side, they saying that one should give autonomy to these provinces by abolishing this dual system. On the other side, they're saying that the governor of that province must be given overriding powers. That means he should be given ultimate power in deciding on the issues of internal security of the province. That means always the security aspects, the police and other things were kept under the British. They never gave a chance of it to Indians to have operation all their own. They never allowed Indians to take the security issues. And provincial legislative council should be enlarged. That means the number of members into these councils must be increased. That's another recommendation made by Simon Commission. And the federal government at the center should embrace not only British India but also the princely states. So in those days, India was divided into provinces as well as princely states. Princely states means they are still ruled by some kings, okay, or princes. So now they were still existing as small, like unimportant kingdoms, but there were number of kingdoms. They were encouraged by British to remain like that, and some turned into provinces of British India. So these provinces who were very loyal to the Britishers, the Simon Commission said the government which is operating in India not only should worry about the provinces, it also should take care of such princely states. And that was another recommendation. The Governor General should select and appoint members of the cabinet. So the complete powers were given to Governor General in appointing his team. So especially the members of in his cabinet. That means a very core group of ministers that Governor General will have. That is completely given to Governor General. His choice and selection will matter there. So the continuing with the recommendations of Simon Commission. So the British troops and British officers who are working in India, so these people should stay on Indian regiments for many more years. So Simon Commission has recommended the British armies and the British officers to stay back in Indian regiments. That means regiment means a permanent unit of army which is kept in a particular place. So in those days, the British used to keep certain permanent areas of army, permanent units of army at particular strategically important places. Suppose if they consider, so regiments, as I said, they are the permanent units of army strategically placed at certain places in India. So Simon Commission said that those armies should continue remain in their places, and high courts which should be come under the administrative control of the government of India. So high courts which are functioning at provincial level and all, they must be under the administrative control of government of India, not at the provincial level, but they want these courts to be under the control of government of India. And the communal representation or the communal electorates which were introduced in Minto Marley reforms has to be continued. So these are the recommendations made by Simon Commission. So let us study what is Nehru Report now. After Simon Commission's recommendation, the Nehru Report is also very important. So Lord Birkenhead was the Secretary of the State for India. So he was Secretary of the State for India means like he was a member of Parliament in British, and he looks after the Indian affairs in British Parliament, and he justified the exclusion of Indians in the Simon Commission. So what this Lord Birkenhead said, he said why Indians are unnecessarily worried. So Simon Commission having all British members is a very good thing. If because he said that Indians were not united and could not arrive at an agreed scheme of reforms. So he said that Indians can never be united and they can never come to a conclusion on reforms. Hence, we have not included any Indian on in Simon Commission. So whatever we have done, that is having no Indian member in Simon Commission, is a very good thing. So he supported their move. And to refute this charge, when Lord Birkenhead, the Secretary of State, said like this, then to prove this as a wrong or to prove this as false, that Indians would never, see, Simon Commission, what the British meant was that if you allow a member of Indian to join the commission, they would never agree or they would never get satisfied with what the commission will say. So they never gave them chance because they are already divided. They don't know what they require. So this was the allegation made by Secretary of State. Now, to refute this charge, that means to prove that this is wrong, an all-party conference was convened in 1928 to take up the challenge posed by Lord Birkenhead. So Indians or the Indian National Congress Party, what it has done, it has convened an all-party conference to prove that Lord Birkenhead is wrong and that we can all unite for what we require. All India National Congress has convened a party conference, all-party conference, to take up the challenge of Lord Birkenhead. Liberals, assertive nationalists, leaders of Hindu Mahasabha, Muslim League, depressed classes, all sections, all political parties came together. Motilal Nehru was made chairman of the committee with Sir Tej Bahadur Sapru and N.C. Kelkar as his principal associates, and Motilal Nehru was made as a chairman of the committee, N.C. Kelkar as its principal associates, Sir Tej Bahadur Sapru, and all these members were they came as a committee, they formed as a committee, and the report submitted by an all-party conference is known as Nehru Report. So when this all-party conference was held, to show that what Indians require, we will propose with a unanimous and unified voice. So this conference was held, and in this conference, they presented a report. That report is called Nehru Report. So what did this Nehru Report propose? So what did Nehru Report propose? Dominion status for India. So dominion status for India means like having independence, or we can call it as a semi-independent status to India. So as they said, as Congress was working on, under British Empire, there must be Swaraj given. So we can call it like semi-independent, because once independence is given, we have to do a lot of things that we will discuss in later part of the chapter. The first thing that Nehru Report has given was dominion status must be given to India. That is, they must give some kind of freedom, and Parliament of India should be set up, and in this Parliament of India we should have a Senate, or we can call it as upper house. We can refer it to modern day Rajya Sabha. So this Senate must be elected for 7 years. The members who go for this Senate must be elected for 7 years, and it should contain 200 members. So modern day Rajya Sabha, you can refer it. and this Senate must be elected by the provincial councils. That means you can consider the provincial councils as modern day states. So the states or the provincial councils must elect their Senate for 7 years' time. And how many members should be there in that Senate? 200 members must be there. And the other thing is, Parliament of India should have House of Representation. That you can see it as like Lok Sabha of modern day. So with 500 members elected for 5 years. So the lower house or Lok Sabha we can call it. So the House of Representation it is called. How many members should be allowed? 500 members. What is the term? 5 years. So similar to modern day Lok Sabha, right? So through adult franchise, that means through direct voting process, the members must be elected to this House of Representation, whereas this Senate must be elected by provincial councils. So this was proposed by Nehru Report. Another was joint electorates. What do you mean by joint electorates? In the place of communal electorates, joint electorates means irrespective of caste, religion, and other aspects or community, anybody can contest the election and all people of that particular area should vote for them. That is joint electorate. And still, to protect the interest of minorities and other sections, to involve them in elections, the Nehru report said that reservation of seats for minorities also should be given, and this reservation should not be there in Punjab and Bengal because already there are majority people there, and so some minority reservation seats should be there, but not communal electorates. And this reservation must be done on population basis with right to contest additional seats. So based on population basis, you do that, not just by don't just separate all the electorates based on Hindu and Muslim. This kind of thing was rejected, and they said joint electorate was another important proposal of Nehru's report, and creation of new provinces on linguistic basis. So whatever the provinces are there, they are not sufficient. Whatever the based on the language that people speak, separate into that area into a province. That was a demand. And 19 fundamental rights, including right to vote, freedom from arbitrary arrest, searches and seizures. That means those days the leaders were arrested unnecessarily. No, they used to raid their homes, search them, abduct them, take them into custody. Freedom of conscience, morality, nothing was there. So they kept all these kind of things in their fundamental rights. They called we require fundamental rights for our people, and declaration of Purna Swaraj. So after this Nehru report, what happened? In the Calcutta session of the Congress had served the ultimatum to British government to accept the Nehru report. So after this Nehru report was into limelight, Calcutta session of Congress was held, and the Congress party from this session has passed an ultimatum. Ultimatum means a final appeal or a call to British government. So what did they say? This is our final say. What is that final say? That the British should accept the Nehru report by the end of 1929, or they must be ready to face a mass movement. If the British are not accepting the Nehru report, then they are going to face another big movement, mass movement. So this was ultimatum given by Congress from the Calcutta session. So the time limit set at the Calcutta session passed out without any positive response from the British. So this is a very usual thing. The British have not even responded to what the Congress party has said in Calcutta session. They never accepted Nehru report. But the Nehru report was later on the Nehru report was declared to have lapsed because that report was supposed to be implemented, and it was set as a deadline to Britishers. As the Britishers are not addressed that, then it is said to have lapsed. That report is said to have lapsed. That means not further. It is having that resolution should be is not having any validity now. And at the Lahore session of the Congress in 1929, so what happened? Jawaharlal Nehru was made as the president of the Congress. So on one side, Nehru Report lost its significance because the British have not recognized it. On the other hand, Jawaharlal Nehru was made as a Indian National Congress president in the Lahore session, and in 1929, from Lahore session, Indian National Congress passed a resolution declaring Purna Swaraj. That means complete independence. Earlier it was only Swaraj, right? But now it was Purna Swaraj. So this 1929 session of Lahore session, Purna Swaraj, was a historical day. In another way, now Republic Day was marked on this day. Later we'll study that. So this Purna Swaraj declaration was a historic event in Lahore session of Indian National Congress. And what did they say? It was complete independence. So on the midnight of December 31st, 1929, Nehru led a procession, that means a rally, to the banks of the river Ravi, which is a tributary to Indus River, right? So he led a rally to Ravi River at Lahore and hoisted the tricolor flag. So for the first time, tricolor flag was hoisted by the Congress President Jawaharlal Nehru, that it is a national flag, and he proclaimed that it was crime against man and God to submit any longer to British rule. So it is, he said, Jawaharlal Nehru said in his statement that no longer it is correct to obey British rule now. If anybody still wanted to accept British rule, it's a big crime. So that was the thing done by Jawaharlal Nehru. So what did the Congress Working Committee met in January 1930? So as we said that there is a Congress Working Committee, right? So they met in January 1930 after 1929 and decided to do some programs under Indian National Congress. So as British didn't accept it and they already said that they're going to face a mass movement, the Congress Working Committee sat and it's made a program now. What is that program? Preparation of civil disobedience movement. So civil disobedience means the Indians are going to disobey the laws and certain regulations of Britishers. So as per the Purna Swaraj declaration, Swaraj in the Congress constitution would therefore mean complete independence. So earlier Swaraj means within the British Empire we want independence. That was the meaning of Swaraj. Now the word Swaraj has been replaced with Purna Swaraj in this Congress Working Committee. They proposed this, that the Swaraj should be replaced by Purna Swaraj. That means complete independence. Now we are no longer wanted to have our own governance under British Empire. We wanted to completely be free of Britishers. So that was our goal. So this was proposed by Congress Working Committee as a program. And 26th of January should be observed as Purna Swaraj Day. So as on this day, Congress adopted the resolution in Lahore session for Purna Swaraj Day. This 26th January was referred as a Purna Swaraj Day all over the country with the hoisting of the tricolor flag. So tricolor flag was hoisted throughout India and it was observed as complete Independence Day. Resignations were done by members of legislative councils. All legislative councils were vacated by Indians. Withdrawal from all possible associations with the British government. So wherever Indians are involved with British government, they all came out from their positions, and it was decided to observe 26th January as Day of Independence Day every year. As Purna Swaraj declaration was passed and it should be observed as Purna Swaraj Day or Independence Day, every year Congress wanted to celebrate this year as a, or observe this year as a Independence Day. And on this day a pledge was also drawn up and it has to be read and clearly taken while celebrating the day. So Congress said that from now onwards every year 26th January should be celebrated as Independence Day because that was the day we have resolved for complete independence.